This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. My name is Michael Lynch. I work in NRECA's Communications Department as Digital Product Manager, and I'm responsible for Cooperative.com. I was invited to come in this morning and talk to you a little bit about Cooperative.com and maybe show you a few of the hidden gems inside the site. So let's start with what Cooperative.com is. Cooperative.com is a website for employees and trustees of NRECA member electric cooperatives, along with others in the co-op family. The goal of the website is to help you connect, grow, and get things done. The version of Cooperative.com you're looking at now is a year and a half old. If you haven't been in the site in a while, a lot has changed, and I'll point out some of those changes as we go along. One noticeable change, other than the look of the homepage, is the fact that far more of the content of Cooperative.com is in front of the firewall. In other words, you don't have to log in for most of the content on Cooperative.com now. We do ask you to log in for certain things. If content is available as a benefit of NRECA membership, if it is sensitive in some way where we only want members to see it, or if we need to know who you are so you can do something like register for an event or sign up to receive a newsletter, then you need to log in. Otherwise, most of the site is open. So we're looking at the home page here, and let me walk you through a little bit of the changes to that. First, we added this Your Briefing section that you see in the white box on the right. There are as many as 5 items here, and most of these change on a daily or every other day basis. Think of these as sort of an announcement section where we let you know about things that are really current and point you to some resource. So in the case of what's there now, we're pointing out that there's a new podcast episode available, that Touchstone Energy has a contest going on. We might alert you to the fact that registration is open for an event or closing soon. As we move down the page, you then hit the grid area, which has these colorful blocks in it. In the grid, we pull in more content, but unlike the announcements, these tend to be bigger things like news stories or a toolkit or a featured conference. As I scroll down the grid, you'll notice there's one special block, this white one. It's popular links. So this is a shortcut to 5 of the most popular parts of Cooperative.com. National Discounts Program, Co-op Jobs, Resolutions, Straight Talk, and RE Magazine. I'll be showing you some of these as we go along. I'm going to scroll back up to the top of the grid, and you'll see that there is a filter feed by option here. This lets you filter the grid by topic. So for instance, if I want to see cybersecurity, if I select that, now all of the grid items are related to cybersecurity. Similarly, if I chose one like environmental issues, it changes it and it gives me all environmental issue ones now. You can reset it with the reset button here, and that takes you back to the default view, which is a curated view chosen by somebody in the communications department of NRECA. The other thing you can do with the home page is you can log in and then customize your view of the website. And when I do this, I'm actually going to have already customized it. So I believe so with a customized view of the grid block, you'll notice that there's no longer a featured event here, and I see a totally different set of items, and I'll show you how you customize it. In this case, you go up to where your name is, and from the drop-down, you select mycooperative.com, and then from here you can go into account settings to change your username and password. My profile is where you could update your contact information like your email address, phone number. And under Web Preferences, this is where you can set the customization preferences for the home page. So I'll go to Web Preferences, and you'll see I already have two selected, Communications and Marketing and Leadership and Management. If I want to remove those, I'll uncheck them and hit Save again. And if I go back to the home page, I'll get the default version of the grid block again, which you can tell instantly because of the featured conference. It'll always be in the default version and it won't be in any of the customized ones. All right, let's take a look at the navigation. So there's the menu here on the left. It's got the three little lines. People like to call it a hamburger menu because it looks kind of like a hamburger. If I open that up, the navigation is divided into three sections. The top section is where the bulk of the content lives. That's topics, programs and services, conference and education, and people and networking. The middle section is related to organizations that sponsor Cooperative.com. So NRECA, CFC, and Federated have content there. And Touchstone Energy, while not a sponsor, does have all of its member-only content on Cooperative.com, and we include them in that area. Then the third section is basically things that don't fall into the other two, but are still high value enough that we want to put them out here right in front for you to see. I'm going to start with the top and just sort of work my way down as I show you things in Cooperative.com. So let's start with topics. So the idea of the topics section is that we've taken content from all over the website and we've pulled it together here based on individual topics. So we'll pick one. Let's do distributed energy resources. So when I click into there, I get a distributed energy resources page. And as I scroll down, I see first up to 6 items that are high value items that have been put here as featured resources. And then below that, I get a live feed that's pulling from different parts of the website. So all of these articles and advisories and toolkits and such on the right are being dynamically pulled into here. And on the left is a set of filters you can use to change what you see. So if I wanted to see only white papers, I could check that. Or if I wanted to see both case studies and white papers, I could check that. I'll uncheck those. Under subtopics, you could choose one like electric vehicles. Now I'm only seeing items related to electric vehicles. So this is a really powerful way to drill down into what we have on Cooperative.com. But if you want a high-level overview, go back to the top, and many, but not all, of the topics pages will have an overview and key contacts section. I'm going to highlight it up here in the upper right. If I click the read more for that, I'll get a page that basically introduces me to distributed energy resources as a topic. So it provides a high-level overview of what distributed energy resources are. Then it goes through some of the key resources we have available on Cooperative.com related to distributed energy resources and links off to them here. And finally, at the bottom, there is a contact section with experts you can talk to about these things. So here you can see that Jan Allen is the resource to talk to about DER in general. But Robert Harris is the person you'd want to talk to if you had specific questions about the distributed generation toolkit. And it goes on down like this. Like I said, not all of the topics pages have one of these overviews, but many of them do, and they're useful if you're trying to find out about the topic just in general, get a sense of what the best resources are, or to find a key contact. All right, I'm going to move on from topics to programs and services. So the programs and services section is organized around either a program or a service being offered generally by NRECA, but sometimes by others as well. And it's organized around that. So you could see things that NRECA's Business and Technology Strategies unit offers. Or you could see things that are coming from NRECA's Government Relations unit. Or you could see information about the homestead funds, for instance. I'm going to show you 2 or 3 things inside of the communications area, in part because that's where I work, but also because there's some really good content in here. All right, so first thing I want to talk about really quickly is Straight Talk. If you're not familiar with it, Straight Talk is a wonderful resource for co-op communicators. In the Straight Talk section, we have content that is created for co-ops to use in their own communications to their consumer members. So there are articles, there are graphics, there's photos, there's video, there are sample social media posts, all sorts of good things that you can take, you can modify them, and then you can use them as your own in your newsletters, on your website, in the local pages of your magazine, on your social media channels, or any other way that you communicate with your own target audiences. Straight Talk is updated on a monthly basis, and it gets an editorial calendar driven by cooperatives with what they would like to have information about. So for instance, with October coming up, there's information about Co-op Month in there with lots of different resources to use to talk about Co-op Month. If you are involved in communications or your communicator isn't someone who uses this, I really recommend you come in and look at it. It's one of the best resources available inside of cooperative.com. All right, running back to communications. Young adult member engagement. This is a project/program that came out in May of this year. Basically, it was created to help co-ops better engage their own young adult members, and that's defined for this purpose as co-op members who are 25 to 45 years old. And if you scroll down in here, what you will find is a part explaining how to navigate the resources, and then there are a number of things. There's research into young adult members. There are tools and tips for doing multi-channel communication strategies to young members. There is resources on getting feedback and doing surveys. There are messages crafted for young members. There's info on how to create a communication plan with checklists and tools. And there are a lot of engagement resources that are pre-created for you that include graphics and content and an idea bank of ideas with ways to engage young members that list out what would be necessary to do it and approximate costs. It's a really rich, robust section that there could be literally a webinar just on this. But if you are involved in trying to engage younger members for the co-op, I would invite you to come in here and spend some time. There's a lot of good content on that topic. All right, so staying in programs and services and communications, show you 2 toolkits really briefly. So the first toolkit is the Reputation Management and Governance Communications Guide. This one is a document, and what it does is it helps you proactively prepare for and deal with situations where members are asking about your governance practices. Whether it's your own members, the media, policymakers, it helps you think through and get out ahead of issues where your co-op's reputation is called into question and your own governance practices are put under a spotlight. It's a timely resource with a number of states facing issues like this today. I would recommend that if you don't have any sort of proactive thought in place for this, that you take a look at the guide, and if you want to talk about it more, reach out to folks here at NRECA in the Media Relations Department. They are going on the road and speaking about this, and they would be happy to talk to you about it in depth. I know Stephen Bell in particular, just reach out and ask. The other one I want to show you in the toolkits here, again, I'm going to go Programs and Services, Communications, Toolkits, is the NRECA Lexicon project. So this is getting a little bit of legs under it. I think it's approaching being a couple of years old now. The Lexicon project was a project to look at how we as cooperatives talk about ourselves, how we tell our story, and specifically the language we use to do that. There was a lot of research put into this, and what we were looking at was how do we talk about ourselves and what do members hear when we do it? What sort of emotions do different words bring up? How do members think about us when they hear certain things? So you can see in the little bullet points, it looks at us talking about what is a cooperative, about the cooperative advantage, about rates, renewables, electrification, cybersecurity. And there are specific recommendations for key messages and for language choices to talk about these things in a way that will get a positive reaction from consumer members. One specific outcome of this that really resonated was the idea of talking about community and seeing that talking about electric cooperatives as the people who turned on the lights in our rich, robust history, while it's all good and interesting, does not resonate nearly so much as talking about cooperatives as being a part of the community, about the people who work at them, living and working in the community, about everything they do being done for the purpose of improving the quality of life in the community. One of the things you saw strongly in here is that those are messages that really resonate. So the Lexicon project is, if you haven't seen it, certainly worth the time to take a look at. A lot of people talk about the co-op, not just the official people, and it's a good thing to know about. All right, moving on down. Conferences and education, I'm not going to go into the section, but it is exactly what you would think it is. It's the single most popular section of cooperative.com. It's where information about events, about training, about certifications, webinars, all that sort of thing lives there. It's deep, it's robust, and if you have a business reason to go in here, you probably already have. So I'm going to skip down to people and networking. And the first thing I'm going to show you in people and networking is the People Finder. People Finder is a little bit of a hidden gem. So with this tool, you can look up contact information for people who work at electric cooperatives across the country. So let's say you want to find me. I'm going to type last name Lynch, and first name I'm just going to put the letter M, since I could be Mike or I could be Michael, and this tool will accept partial values. And then I'm going to search. I see here there are 6 M Lynches, and the 5th one is Michael Lynch, Digital Product Manager at NRECA. And if you click through to view, you'll get my email address and my phone number, as well as seeing the fact that I've earned a CCC designation. So this is a really good tool for when you've gone to a meeting and you've met somebody, and when you get home, you're like, oh, goodness. I know her name was Amy, and she was in South Carolina, and I'm not sure much more, and you could start searching that way, and as much as you know, you can use it to help drill down and find the person you're looking for. All right, next in people and networking, the co-op directory. The co-op directory is sort of the opposite of the People Finder. The People Finder helps you find people. Co-op Directory helps you find co-ops. So you can come in here and you could type a name or part of a co-op name. You could look for it by member type. So you could say, I know I'm looking for a distribution system or a GNT or a statewide, or you could do it by location, or you could do all three together. So if you do that, what you'll end up with is a listing for the co-ops that lets you see where the co-op's located, the main phone number for the co-op, web address for it, that sort of thing. So it's basically just contact information for co-ops. Moving on down in People Finder, professional communities. This is a major recent addition to Cooperative.com. So for a number of years, Cooperative.com has offered listservs, which provided a way for people to talk to groups of like-minded folk, whether it was around a job role or some group that they were in, via email. And we replaced those listservs recently with professional communities. So the professional communities work like the listservs do in that you can join them, and then you can send messages to all the people who are in that community, and they'll receive those messages via email. And you can respond to them via email, and it'll go back. But you can also go through the website and interact with the community that way. And unlike the listservs, the web version of these communities is really good. So let me show you. First, this is the landing page for professional communities. There are two kinds: open communities here at the top and private communities at the bottom. An open community is one that anybody can join. And if you want to find one and you know the name of it, like I'm going to look for the engineering one, I can start typing it and you'll see it will zoom down and give me just that one. If I were already a member of it, I click go to community and I can go in and start using it. If I'm not a member of it, when I go into the community, I will have an option to join it. Now, at the bottom are the private communities. Private communities are ones that you can request to join, but you can't just immediately join, and somebody has to approve that request. So you can see some examples at the top. ACRE is a community for members of the Action Committee for Rural Electrification. So if you're not an ACRE member, you could not join that community. Or if you're not a CEO, you would not be allowed into the CEO community. And the same for the others as they go down here. Now the thing to know is that the communities you see here on this page are not all of the communities. These are the most popular ones, but there are more. So if you've already joined some communities, if you click the button here at the top left, communities I belong to, you'll get a list of just the ones that you have already joined, and then you can go directly into them. If you want to see everything, if you click Explore All Communities here, which I'll do, it will return to you a list of all of the communities. So these are ones that you can join and also ones that are closed. So I'm going to go into one from here. I'm going to go into the communicators community since I've been picking on communicators all along here. Let me do that. So once I'm in here, there are 4 major pieces to it here at the top. You have this little landing page that you end up on: discussions, resources, and members. So in the discussion section, that's where you can see all the messages that have been sent to the community so far. And from there, you could create your own message and send them out to others. It's also a place where you could search the messages that have been sent to the community. So here I see discussions here. If I attach a file to a message that I send to the community, that file attachment will end up in this next bucket called resources. So when I look at resources, now I see all of the file attachments that were on things. So if you're looking for a specific thing you know somebody shared, this is where you could go find it. And finally, I can go look at the members of the community. So in this case, there are 1,400 members of the communicators community, and I can look through them all here. I can search for them. And if I wanted to send somebody a message, I could go and say Jennifer Adams here, send a message. And I get a place to type in a subject and a message, and it would send it directly to her. I mentioned earlier that you can search discussions, and that when you go into the discussions section, there's a search box at the top. This definitely works, but I want to show you something much more powerful, and that's the search up here in the upper right. So this search takes you to a search page that's for the entire community platform. So from this search page, you can search all of the communities you belong to with a single search. In my case, you're going to see an awful lot because I'm an administrator and I belong to all of the communities. If you were a member of 2 or 3, this would be a little less daunting looking. But let's come in and I'm going to search for capital credits here. So here are capital credits messages in the right-hand side. And over on the left, I have a way to filter and refine my search results. So I can see here what I'm highlighting. There are 272 discussions that have capital credits in them. That seems like a lot, and it is. And the reason is because when it searched for capital credits, what it really searched for was the word capital or the word credits. If I want to search for it as a phrase, I put quotation marks around it. Now, if I do that and I search again, now the number of discussions drop down to 84. So let's come in here and let's say I want to look at discussions, and it'll apply that filter. And then I could look at the communities I belong to, and I might say I want to see only discussions in the communicators community. Now it's filtered even more. And I could even come down here and say I only want to see ones that have files attached to them. And now I'm even more filtered. Oh, I selected no. Let me select yes. So anyway, it's a really powerful search that you have here. And it's useful because if you've used the listservs or the communities for any period of time, you've probably seen that the same questions get asked over and over again. And the same sorts of resources are requested frequently. So coming in and looking at what's been done in the past is a good way to find what you need really quickly. So that's professional communities. Now I'm going to move to this middle grouping. As I mentioned, I'll point at Touchstone Energy. All of the content for members of Touchstone Energy is in here and secured to them. So if you're looking for information from Touchstone Energy campaigns, programs, services, it's all there. I'm not going to drill through that because it's quite deep. Instead, I want to show you one thing in the NRECA section, which is the contact directory here. This contact directory is rather new and much better than what's been here previously. In the past, NRECA had a contact directory that really pointed you at a single person from each business unit or department to be a contact. This one is much more detailed. So it shows you who the senior leadership team is, and then it goes through by area of interest. So if we look at the top one, advocacy, you can see there's a contact for ACRE, one for the Co-op's Vote program, one for Grassroots, and one for Youth Tour. with actual names, phone numbers, and email addresses. And as I scroll down, you'll see this is quite deep. And if you're interested in most anything that NRECA does, you can probably find a contact for it here. And if you can't, I'll go all the way to the bottom of the page, because every page has a link to the Member Contact Center down here, membersupport@cooperative.com, and the 1-877 number. And those people can help you with pretty much anything. But this is a very good new resource that we're doing our best to keep as up to date as we possibly can. So we hope you enjoy it and find use in it. I know I've used it myself. One other thing to mention in NRECA, since it was linked off of the home page, is the member resolutions section. I won't drill into here, but if you're interested in the resolutions that come out of NRECA's membership through our own internal governance process to direct NRECA and what it should be doing on behalf of electric co-ops and for electric co-ops, all of that's in here. How the process works, how to be a part of it, and what the actual resolutions are that come out of that guide NRECA. So I'm going to go back out of here and move down to the next section. So in this bottom section, there are a few I would really like to highlight. The first one is RE Magazine. I'll click through to view RE Magazine. So RE Magazine has had its own website until October of 2018, at which point it moved into cooperative.com. So when you come into this section, you will find articles from RE Magazine. It's not all of the articles. You have to be a subscriber to see all the articles, but a representative selection from every recent issue is in here and available to anyone, subscriber or not subscriber. The issues section here, if you were to click through to it and you were a subscriber, you can log in and view full issues of the magazine as well. But the part that people love, and I wanted to point out, is the photo challenge. So the photo challenge is a monthly contest for co-op Shutterbugs to submit photos based on a theme, and then folks vote on the ones they like. We recently completed one, so I'm going to click to past photo entries here, and you'll see the last theme was night photos, and heading out here is the winner of that one. And then more recent photos are below, and on the left, again, we have the ability to filter down. So this is a common way to handle content on this version of cooperative.com with filters here on the left. So if I wanted to see just drone photos, I could come in here and see just the ones that are the drone photos. There's a lot of beautiful photos that show the real talent of co-op photographers, and I think, you know, people love them. I love them. I'd encourage you to come in and take a look at them if it's something that you enjoy. And also, as part of entering this contest, we ask folks to agree to be willing to share their photos with others in the co-op family. So if there's a photo in here that you have a business use for, you could talk to Matt Ringelstetter or Scott Hoffman at RE Magazine, and they most likely will be able to share that photo with you, and you can use it for your purposes. A lovely resource. So moving further down, podcast along those lines. I'm going to click into that. If you like podcasts, or if you don't, this is a podcast that NRECA creates that talks about stories from co-op country and issues that matter in rural America or in the energy industry. Typically, podcast episodes are about 25 minutes long. They might be a little longer, generally not. They could very well be shorter, though. And in them, typically Scott Hoffman, the host of the podcast, will interview one or more people from the electric co-op family to talk about some issue that is of interest at the time. You can see the most recent episode is talking about pushing Congress to save co-ops tax-exempt status. So it's talking about a piece of legislation called the Rural Act. It's intended to fix a issue where co-ops can take money for things like FEMA or from grants for broadband, and accidentally doing so get out of their 85-15 revenue split between dues revenue and non-dues revenue and threaten their own tax-exempt status and end up having to pay taxes. So that is what that one's about. And you'll see there's one on rural health care, one on beneficial electrification, one where NRECA's President Curtis Wynn talks about his vision for co-ops in the future, one about pollinators and saving the monarch butterfly. I like podcasts. I think this is a really fun podcast if you're into the industry. I've enjoyed them all. I'd encourage you to come in and listen to them. And if you do use podcasts and you subscribe to podcasts, you can go to the normal places. In addition to coming to cooperative.com, you can go to wherever you get your podcasts from, such as iTunes, and you can subscribe and get the podcast that way. Next, let's look briefly at maps, facts, and figures. So this section has data about the electric cooperative network and the co-op business model and how co-ops fit into the larger electric utility network. This data can be really useful when you're writing up information yourself for news releases or putting together presentations for civic groups, that sort of thing. The highest level document is this one called Co-op Facts and Figures that's linked at the top. And this gives you an infographic view of America's electric cooperatives. So you can see here that co-ops power 56% of the nation's land mass, own 42% of the distribution lines, power 19 million businesses, homes, schools, farms, serve 42 million people. And as you go on down, you find out how we fit in terms of electricity use and fuel mix, sales, emissions, the growth, particularly the rapid growth in the last couple of years of cooperative solar, a look at how we fit into the economy of the United States, how much revenue we generate, jobs we create, all that sort of thing. Really, really good information for anyone interested in the co-ops, whether they're media members, members of the government, your own consumer members. Just good stuff. It's updated annually. I'll back out of there and scroll down and show you the cooperative maps. So I'm going to click the first one, Electric Cooperative Network Maps. And here you get a number of maps that you can download that show different aspects of the co-op network. So the color one here at the top and the green one below it are both maps of distribution service territory across the entire United States. Again, for that sort of civic presentation, these maps do a great job of explaining visually just how much of the United States is served by electric cooperatives. When you look at that green map, it's like, wow, it looks almost all green. I mean, it really can tell a story in the way that you just putting a percentage on a bullet on a slide cannot do. The color version of it above, you can download bigger versions of it, and you can also order it. So you can order it as a print that's a fairly big one that can be hung on a wall. Scrolling on down, there are NRECA region maps that show what the regions are and what co-ops are in those regions and where their service territories are. There's retail rate maps, commercial, industrial, and residential rate maps. And finally, at the bottom, there are contacts from NRECA's Business and Technology Strategies Department. These are the people who gathered the data and put together these maps. So if you have questions or you want to get help with something related to these, they're the people to talk to. All right. As we're winding down here, I have a couple more I want to show you. I'll just mention Co-op Jobs without going into it. Co-op Jobs is a place where electric cooperatives can post positions open at their co-ops, as well as co-op job seekers and non-co-op job seekers can come in here and look for jobs at electric cooperatives across the country. You can search for them. You can upload a resume, create alerts, all that sort of thing that you do on job sites, but specifically for co-op jobs. Now, the National Discounts Program. This is a biggie, especially if you're not aware of it. Let me click in here. So NRECA National Discounts Program is a program that brings together discounts that NRECA has negotiated on behalf of electric cooperatives and, in some cases, their employees that you can use. Like other parts of the site we've looked at, you get the discounts on the right and the ability to filter them on the left. And if I look at a specific discount, I'll start with the top one, 1-800-Flowers. I can see who the discount is good for. So I can see affiliate members of NRECA, NRECA member cooperatives, G&Ts, and the employees of NRECA member cooperatives are eligible to take advantage of this. And if I click into more details, I get specifics, what's discounted, if there's a promotion code, what code it is, how to go about getting the discount, and who a contact is for that discount. So let's look at a couple discounts real quickly. I'm going to go to Vehicles and Equipment. You'll see here a number of vehicle manufacturers are in here. I'm going to look at Ford in particular. You'll notice there's a fleet vehicle discount, and below that there's an employee personal vehicle discount. So in other words, what this is if you work at an electric cooperative that's an NRECA member, you can come in and using this discount, you can get X-Plan pricing on Ford motor vehicles. I've not personally done this, but I have talked to people who have, and apparently, if you're looking to get like a Ford truck, the pricing here is very good. It's one of the most popular discounts, but it's certainly not the most popular. The most popular, probably, if I go away from vehicles, are the travel discounts. The rental cars and hotels and all of that. Another thing to know about the discount program is that it is not the same as the Touchstone Energy discounts program. There is overlap between the two of them, but there are many things in the NRECA one, especially specific business-related sort of, co-op specific discounts that are in here that aren't in the Touchstone one, which is much more consumer-focused. But either way, it's worth looking in both if you are a Touchstone Energy member. And the last thing is that I think a lot of people are not aware of these discounts. So if you are someone who does internal communications at your cooperative, I'd encourage you to tell other people about it, whether you're doing that, in a newsletter, on an intranet, or however you do your own employee communications. And that's where I had intended to stop, but I will give you one extra just because it's a fun little add-on. Service awards and merchandise. At the end here is where you can find service awards that you can purchase. So, you know, the pins and watches and sorts of things that you would give an employee on a 10-year anniversary, 20-year anniversary. That's here. You can click through and you can find the cooperative principles as a poster or as wallet cards, and you can order those things here. But the other one in service awards and merchandise is the Willie Wired hand ornaments, which, you know, if you're a Willie fan, they are very popular. And if you click through, you'll see we still have the 2018 ornament up, but little secret insider tip, it hasn't been announced yet, but the 2019 ornaments are actually available. And if I click through, you'll see there is Willie Wired Hand as Santa Claus in the 2019 figurine and the wall ornament. I've already ordered mine, and it's sitting behind me on a shelf. So anyway, that was just a little fun thing to add in at the other. I want to be respectful of people's time and wrap up on time, so I thank you for your attention. If you want to get in contact with me, again, my name is Michael Lynch. My email is michael.lynch, L-Y-N-C-H, @nreca.coop. And my phone number here is 703-907-5735. And thank you.